Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ongoing Mastery, Presenting and Speaking, the podcast and the interview. And we have, Natalie Bullen. Hi,
Yay!
Natalie. Welcome,
Hello,
welcome, welcome.
everyone.
So, Natalie, please tell people at least the smallest possible version of your superhero story.
Oh, okay. Once upon a time, there was a villain. Okay, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, there was an unexpected hero, and she worked a job because that's what you do. And she went to college because that's what you do. And she got a master's because that's what you do. And she bought a home because that's what you do. And she worked a second job to pay for her student loans because she was so prudent and thought that was great. And then she got sick and went through a bad breakup and lost her job and ended up filing personal bankruptcy. And it really sucked because she was a personal finance guru and she was a banker and she was a finance minor and she was meticulous and had never been on even one vacation as an adult. She had no luxury at all. And the hero realized that the American dream is actually completely fictitious, that there is no freedom in not having savings, that you can't budget your way out of poverty, and that she should stop trying. So she decided that if the big financial institutions weren't going to teach finances in a way that actually benefited people, that she was going to do it. And she quit her job and she started Unapologetic Wealth, a coaching and consulting firm that helps you charge more and sell better. I focus on money mindset. I focus on pricing strategies, and more recently, deep dive into your sales funnel. I did 6 figures in revenue my very first year in business, knowing absolutely nothing. So you could certainly do better than I did. And that is why my business exists, to catapult you into the 1.7% of women entrepreneurs that are 7-figure, and to get you on stages where you can showcase your talent and skills and land more business. The end.
Awesome. I like it. It's nice, concise.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Very good. Very good.
Compelling. Had a climax and everything. Yeah.
All we need to do is animate it and we're set.
That would be cool. Yeah. For impromptu, it was excellent.
Yes. Very good. So for those who don't know, I met Natalie when I became her client.
Yay.
And then over time, also, we became friends.
Absolutely.
And so Natalie is one of my mentors, and I am in a program with people, the Siren Sales Academy, and we are all supporting each other on our various journeys. So the funny thing is, I am a middle-aged white lady from Connecticut. Natalie is not. And yet we are so damn much alike in so many ways. It is really, really funny, except for when it comes to the persistence and diligence and all of the things around finance, which is one of the reasons why I go to her and go, Natalie, help me, please. So thank you for coming on the podcast. I want everybody to, kind of see the joy that is the true personality. So you have been talking with me about kind of your goals for stages.
Yeah.
And where you want to go. What are your thoughts about that? What do you want to do? What are your plans?
I'm not so much a planner, but I'm thinking about how do I get my message to the largest number of people. Mm-hmm. I would love to be in really large events, summits, conferences, like Outreach, that big sales conference that they have, not Afro Tech because I'm tech allergic, but something of that size. I would love that. I wanted to go to TED Women. I believe it started today in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. And so I am not so much, I want to get paid $10, $20, $30,000 for this keynote. I want 1,000 people in the audience to hear my message and be able to get connected, like hooked in with the mission of Unapologetic Wealth. Because once people hear the mission and they get it, they want to buy from me. They want to invest in the services. So I don't have to put a hard sell on people. I just need them to hear me. Like I literally just need to be on stages.
Awesome. So when people are talking about, presenting and things, I know that you love PowerPoint decks. Like, it's one of your favorite things ever is to make a PowerPoint, isn't it?
I hate them so much. I hate presentations. It's one of the things that drew me to you, because anybody who's like, you look, if you're doing a conversion event and enrollment event, you need a deck. Period. If you are up here selling this thing, but for most people who are just trying to get a motivational message across, it is distracting. I actually just came from a live event, and everyone who came with slides struggled. There was a timing issue between the slides and the speaker. The slides were here and the speaker was cat a corner here. So you couldn't look at the person speaking and the slide simultaneously. Not the speaker's fault. They had no way of knowing that until they got to the venue, but by then it was too late because they'd already built a speech up around. I feel like slides are a liability. I think it's almost like packing with a checked bag. Like, if you've got a carry-on, you can weather more travel bumps.
Yes.
You can deplane and leave instead of having to go, you're so much more flexible if you travel with a carry-on. So that's kind of how I view having a really strong internal compass of your message and being able to memorize enough of it to stay on track without needing the visual aid. I don't know that they've ever helped me, to be honest.
Yeah, as you know, I always encourage people to be able to do it without the deck. I have recently had some people say, hey, one thing you're missing is that, this one person said, I'm neurospicy. I need that for structure. And I'm like, okay, solid. So let's come up with structured ways to give you that support. But you and I have both seen people doing the presentation where this happens all the time, where they lead off with, the deck is the presenter and I'm somehow its assistant.
I have seen people lead with that, and I'm like, this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Why would you give away all of your power and agency to static slides and charts and graphs? That, I don't know how technical of a presentation, like maybe if I was applying for a Nobel Prize in economics and needed to show some very complex model or forecasting, or you know what I mean? Or maybe there's some scientific field, some PhD research where no, you absolutely need to have a visual aid or you will not be able to understand the concept. I don't know anybody doing speeches about that in general that I can name offhand. So for me, I think people tend to use the slides as a crutch. They actually cannot do it without the presentation. And they're trying to use the slides as a way to buffer against their nerves.
Yep.
Even if I get jittery and nervous, I still have my slides. And that's not the way you should look at it. I think you should be thinking, I know exactly what I'm going to discuss, but for the types of persons who like taking notes and who need a visual aid for accessibility standpoint, I would like to offer slides. And even then, I'm more a fan now of having one slide up behind me the whole time with a QR code, and that QR code lead people to the whole presentation if they'd like the slide deck or whatever else I'm selling them into. That way there's no distraction of the clicking of slides. People can review them themselves on their own smart device.
The worst thing I've seen people do is they time out their presentation, and that traps you to following the deck.
Yep.
And doesn't allow you to do things like taking a question or going down a rabbit hole or having any of the other things.
Because now your slides don't align with what you're speaking about because you've gotten off the script. But I think that's the problem with scripts. Now you see why I refuse to write sales scripts for people, because it's the same problem. You don't know what the other person is going to say. So you can't very well put, the scripts only work if everybody sticks to the script. Everybody, all the players have to stick to the script. When you go out and speak and you ask the audience for questions, even if you don't ask, I just did an 8-minute talk that was, styled after TED in terms of the duration and the gist. And even at the end of my talk, people had questions, even though it wasn't that kind of talk.
Yeah.
Imagine if I had said, well, no, I don't have any space for Q&A because it's not on the slide. Like that that feels odd. And so,
Yeah.
I think people feel safer with public speaking because they can hide behind the deck instead of thinking, what can I do to make sure that the emotion I want to convey and the motivation and the goal of the talk is achieved.
Mm-hmm. So it's I mean, obviously preachers of the choir, it's all about building relationships. What do you recommend? Because you're a, a financial expert, you're also a sales messaging expert. When people are trying to do that connection with their audience, what do you recommend for people who are trying to learn what the first steps are in getting that relationship building going? What are the things that you see trip people up a lot?
I like that. Well, first, I think that these people should, at minimum, book a strategy session with you because I think they need to have some
Thank you.
kind
I
of
like that.
strategy before they get up on stage. People think, oh, I'm going to come to Natalie because Natalie knows sales and she is going to help me get up on the stage and have confidence. But I'm not going to write your speech for you. I'm not a speech writer. And whatever the brand objective that you have for your company needs to resonate in your speech. And so, first, in order for you to have the confidence to show up, you need to make sure that there is cohesion. So, you need to hire a speaker coach. You need to hire Kirsten Rourke, period. After you have done that,
I'm loving this. Is my favorite podcast of all of the
after you've
podcasts.
done that and you have gotten clear on why you're on the stage in the first place and what is the objective? Is the objective to win over stakeholders? Is the objective to entertain the crowd? Is the objective to get people to take some action, to be persuasive? If you and Kirsten decide that this is a persuasive talk and you want to persuade people to buy something, then I would say you have to ask yourself, how warm is the audience you're stepping into to be able to make sure that you've got plans, I guess I would say, for lack of better words. So I've been called in to be a speaker at the last minute. Nobody knew who the speaker was going to be. They dropped out, they got sick, they had COVID, whatever.
Yep.
Right? I've been paid to be a financial literacy speaker at churches where all they knew was that someone was coming to talk about money. The way that you speak to a group of persons who have no idea who you are, no idea of your credibility, no clue about what you're going to talk about is very different than when you've been called in to do a keynote that you've been paid for, that you do on a routine basis to an organization who you go support every year. So you need to understand the warmth scale to know how much trust building and relationship do I need to do on the front. Because for people who are cold or coldish, lukewarm, you've got to start with a space of, these people don't know me. How do I get them to know, like, and trust me right away? Yep. You'll notice in my introduction when I came on this podcast, you started to relate to me right away. You may have had a job where you were underpaid. You might be buried in student loan debt. You might be working 2 jobs. You might have realized the American dream is BS. So you immediately started to trust me, even though you have no idea who I am. You've got to be able to figure out, okay, based on this audience, here's the posture that I need to take in order to be taken seriously by this group of people. As an aside, I think that most people don't practice enough. I find that there's very little rehearsal or practice. And I am an anomaly. I am the type of person that, for the most part, can get up on stage and make something coherent happen. But if you're the type of person who rambles, is hard for you to track time in your mind. If you're not a professional speaker, I highly recommend that you get a level of practice out there. Kirsten actually has a practice session, which I think is genius. And she's one of the only sales coaches I've seen offer something like that. Doesn't involve a big, long commitment, but you can actually meet with her for a period of time to rehearse your speech and get live critique.
I am cracking up that I asked you to come on an interview and you're selling my shit for me. I'm loving this. Thank you.
That's what people need to do, because otherwise you practice in front of your husband. Your husband's not listening to you. If he's anything like my husband, by the time my husband's on the couch for quality time, he means quality time.
Yes.
He does not mean, I want to critique your business model. I want to listen to your rant. He's not listening. Like, I'm just being honest. So And he's not a speaker coach, and he's not my ideal client, and he's not a decision maker of it. Like, he's just not applicable. So I think it's good to be able to get, reps in. I think, if you want to be fit, you need to do reps of lifting weight, right? They do sets, you do reps, and the repetition is what gets you better. I find that a lot of people who say they're not good at public speaking, what they really mean is, I have not taken any time to practice my public speaking skill. I haven't done enough reps. And so it feels like new every time. Well, yeah, if you don't go to the gym but once a year, it's going to suck. Every year it's going to feel really bad because you've never gotten your muscles any kind of memory to improve. Speaker skill is exactly like that. I hope I answered your question.
You totally did. And now I'm thinking that I want to put together an ad that says January 3rd, you go to the gym and you haven't been there all year. How does that feel?
Right. And it's going to suck. And it's going to suck every year. And so for people who really want to get better at public speaking, the goal is to get more reps in. I started off speaking for free as a financial literacy specialist. I mean, I would sometimes get honorarium. The bank would pay me for 16 hours of customer service, being a community service. But in general, it was free. But it got me reputation. It got me on television here locally in Huntsville, Alabama. And that built my credibility to the point where I could start asking people for, nominal, $1,000. Just enough for me to say, I got paid for this. I have some skin in the game. And that got me on bigger stages. And that got me in conferences. And you just move your way up. And again, you always need to decide what's in it for you. Do you need to get paid up front to make it worth it? Are you able to sell from the stage to make it worth it? I have finally gotten clarity on my book. And so this time next year, I'll be a published author. And that will be huge because at that point, I'm going to start negotiating into my speaking contracts in person. I need to be able to sell my books.
Yes.
So you either need to buy a book for everyone in the audience, or you need to let me set up a table so I can sell them. Which would you choose? Which would you prefer?
Fantastic.
I'm excited.
So you have many, many, many superpowers, and I admire all of them.
I don't.
I know, but I'm gonna whack you because you're wrong. This is me dope slapping you in the head because you're wrong. So the thing that kills me is you're an introvert. You're an introvert who who by her very nature builds communities that are some of the most tenacious, long, long tentacles out into the internet, all the things. I mean, damn, woman, if you worked for like a secret agency, we would all be screwed.
That's true.
I mean, I love it. So what do you advise people who are thinking about building community? Because you and I know, and I'm not going to go there, but I'm going to go there. You and I met in a community that was not healthy and not run well, and perhaps had some ethical challenges. Perhaps. So, yeah. I'm not going to name any names, but if you DM me, I'll tell you who we're talking about.
Perfect.
No problem. So what is your advice for building communities of value and of that are aligned to your mission and to your truth?
I love this question. Well, first, I think you need to know what your mission and your truth is.
You mean something other than come worship me? Sorry.
Right, exactly. I feel like people need to actually understand what that is. And I think you should do an audit of your ethos, your mission, your messaging, your marketing, at least once a quarter. You should ask holistically. Unapologetic Wealth's original mission was to eradicate poverty in communities of color. It has since been updated because I realized that I don't serve people who are in the midst of poverty. That's not where the bulk of my clients are. That's not where the bulk of my work is. So by virtue of maybe my nonprofit that I plan to launch years from now, that might eradicate poverty and homelessness. But this business is not actually doing that. So we updated our mission actually to create more women-led $1 million businesses, because that's actually the outcome that Unapologetic Wealth is working towards. So one, you need to be doing an audit. What is your ethos? And does the way that you run your business meet that? Like, are they in alignment? Do the offers align? with what you say you're going to do? Does your work hours align? Does your team align? If you say you're big on diversity, but everybody on your team looks exactly like you, there's not a lot of diversity there. You need to do something. Either you need to change what your mission is, or you need to change what your team is, right? You have to take some responsibility. Two, I think you have to use your strengths. Believe it or not, in my top 15 Clifton strengths, I only have one relationship building.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. Oh my God, it's terrible. I'll send you my full report later. It's really bad.
Oh, you got to, because my top
really
one is
bad.
woo.
Oh, it's really,
I'm like
really
woo
bad.
all the way.
I just don't even know why they suck so bad. It's terrible. So I met with two different Clifton Strengths coaches because I'm an Enneagram 8 and I don't like to believe what people say about me. So if I don't agree with the personality assessment, I just tell myself it's incorrect. Yep. And my number one Clifton strength is competitiveness. And I think that's bullshit. I think it's an absolute lie because they have ambition or achievement as an option. And that I think is more accurate. I don't know enough about what other people are doing to be in competition with you. Like I'm normally head down working. Like I flat don't care what most people are doing. So like, I think it's erroneous. Nevertheless.
Well, okay. I would say that if it included you being competitive with yourself, yes. But if it means always being competitive with others,
it does. No. It means being the best and besting others.
Well, besting others, no, because you don't ever give a shit about that.
And that was my whole point. I don't care about other people, what they're doing. That's their business. The whole thing was just bizarre. Anyway, I only have one. It's restorative. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Is it restorative? That's relationship. Maybe it's individualization. Both of them are in my top 5. I can't remember which one is actually, but of my 15, yep. One. So I lead with influence. It's all I've got. So I build community by showcasing my gift and showcasing my influence and then using it to draw people to me. It's like the Piper method, really. Yep. The best I got. So I tend to stand out in the market square and get my megaphone and start shouting how I feel. And people are like, I think I feel that way. I want to do that. And like they're drawn to it. The 3 things I would tell someone who wants to build community is 1, to show up every day. I'm not saying you have to physically show up with your body every day. I'm saying your mission, your method needs to be visible every day because the online means that your business is always open. Yeah. Oh, so back in the day, 1920s, before Walmart and stuff was ubiquitous, you had stores and the stores opened and the stores closed. And when they closed, they locked up their gates. And so it didn't matter what was going on in the store at midnight because nobody was in the store at midnight. But with online businesses, people are in your store all the time. They're on your website, they're on your Instagram, they're on your LinkedIn, they're around, they're watching your lead magnets. I had someone take my quiz at 3:00 this morning. People are always around. Oh, okay. So what are they seeing when they're around? Do they see you showing up, being your best self? Or do they not hear anything for weeks and weeks because you're feeling self-conscious? So I think showing up is important. 2, I think you need to identify your stakeholders. Okay. You need to identify who the people are that are going to move your mission forward. I realized early on that I needed some help because I am an introvert and I only have so much peopling that I can do in a day. So I say, Natalie, what makes sense? Do you want to get an influencer and pay them? No. Do you want to run ads? I didn't have any money. Do you want to get a business partner? Ew. So I decided that I was going to enlist my clients to become my best allies. So I started treating my clients really, really well. I started treating them better than what they paid me for. I started being around all the time. I want to be on your Facebook page. I want you to have my personal cell phone number. Yes, I have boundaries. No one has ever abused having my personal cell phone number. But every client who's paid me knows I give a damn. And so they have kind of become their own little Natalie army on my behalf. And a lot of my clients are extroverts and they tell a lot of people about me. They tell everybody with ears about
You
me.
mean like bringing you onto her podcast?
Yes. They
No, I
share
don't know
me with
anybody who would do
with
that.
their platforms, and they go to live events and they
Mm-hmm.
talk me up and
Yep.
they introduce me in the emails, and it's huge, huge.
Yeah.
And so that's, you got to identify who your stakeholders are. My best stakeholders are my clients. Whoever your best stakeholders are, you need to identify them and leverage them. And by leverage, I don't mean use, I mean utilize. Okay. And the third thing that I would tell somebody is have fun. I feel like most people build a community based on this very, well, we're going to have this chart and we're going to have these rules and we're going to have these numbers and, we're going to grow by 18% year over year. And like, yeah, but does anyone give a damn? Like, does anyone care? Is anyone having a good, like, when's the last time you laughed? Maybe you should go on your Facebook Live and just laugh. I think that is what people want. People want communities where it looks like fun. They don't want your community that looks like work. And a lot of people have built up a community that frankly looks really dull. It's not something I want to get involved in. So those are tips I would give to somebody who is introverted and wants to build a community.
Fantastic. Now, I'm going to ask you one final question because I could absolutely, as you know, talk to you for hours and have. But all right, if you were going to give, well, you are, because I'm about to ask you, one thing about developing ongoing mastery in your areas of skill or your areas of genius, what do you recommend people put some thought on about their own ongoing mastery?
I love that. You should create your own continuing education calendar.
Ooh.
Now,
Okay.
I come from a regulated industry. I have securities licenses. And so I am mandated to do a certain amount of continuing education, and it has its calendar. And I decided I was going to make one for my own personal development. And so every single year I go to at least one in-person conference, not a sales pitch, not a launch, not a party, a conference or a workshop or a seminar to strengthen my skill, either in sales or marketing, used to be financial advising, at least one in person. I also go quarterly to something virtual to help me sharpen my skill set, whether that's a paid workshop or masterclass. I've been through so many programs. And then I also do something semi-annually for mindset. Last year, it was positive intelligence. That was my Q3, Q4. And then I've gotten in a different mindfulness program, Q1, Q2. I'm still looking for my second half, what I'm going to do this year virtually. And then monthly, I read at least one book, not a fiction book, a book specifically on the thing. So if I want to get better at high ticket sales, I need to read a book on high ticket sales.
Okay. Awesome.
So I have a calendar basically of this is what I do and when I do. It's so smart because then you don't have to really remember to do it. And then the years go on and you've created more mastery. Because what is an expert? 10,000 hours of practice? Yeah, but like, are they 10,000 relevant hours? Because you could be a judo master in 1980, but if you haven't done judo since then, are you still a master? Maybe you still have some of the fundamental expertise, but you're pretty rusty if you haven't actually done judo since 1980. No one's going to say you're a master anymore. And so I think ongoing means just that. It means having a dedication to lifetime learning and holding yourself accountable for learning the thing that it's going to take to grow your business. This is where I just get super frustrated with folks because it feels like they get great at something and just quit. They're like, oh, I know how to market. I market for myself. I'm a marketer. And they just allege that they're marketers and they just go off and start selling stuff. And it's like, well, when's the last time you invested in learning about the cutting edge techniques and tools for marketers? Oh, I haven't. When's the last time you went to a sales conference to learn your skill? I haven't. When's the last time you picked up the phone and just did some outbound dials to see if you still got it? Oh, I haven't. Those kind of people give me pause, right? Like, not only am I a sales coach, I'm still doing sales for my own business. Like, I walk the talk. I do the outreach every day. So I'm not rusty. I'm not out of practice. I'm not selling something I don't know how to do. And I'm shocked to report this, but there are a lot of people selling stuff they don't know how to do. They know how to sell it, they don't know how to do it.
I am going to 100% ask you to come back, and I want to specifically interview you on bro marketing, because you know what I want to talk about, and I want to talk dish.
It's so bizarre. And the only thing more frustrating than the bros getting rich is the women who let them do it.
Mm.
And
And
when we show up small, and when we, you know, just flounder in self-doubt,
yep.
we leave the door open for charlatans to gain market share, and I'm just not about it. I'm not. If you're listening to this right now and you are a person with a real mission, with a real method and real values, and you know that your message needs to be on stages, and you have not sharpened that skill, and you are not clicking the button on rourketraining.com to work with Kirsten right now, you're full of shit.
That's going to be my clip right there.
You're
right
full
there.
of shit.
I'm going to make this my
because you
short.
don't actually want what you say that you want. If you want what you say that you want, you will walk the talk. And when you look at these charlatans, when you go on YouTube and you see these people who obviously have no training, no ethos, no mission, no messaging, no value, I'm talking straight up trash, and they are getting paid and you aren't, because you convinced yourself you're not good enough, and you have disqualified yourself by not even having a conversation with a speaking coach, I'm going to call BS.
And I'm not going to say anything after that. Woohoo! Okay, how do people find you?
Oh, yay. They can find me at unapologeticwealth.com. They can follow me on Instagram at unapologeticwealth. They can join the shenanigans. I'm the only Natalie Bullen on Facebook. Bullen is not a common name. I'll give my URL to our lovely host here so she can put it in the show notes in case you want to follow the shenanigans. Fair warning, I post between 7 and 10 times a day on Facebook.
Yes, you do.
Just saying, it's a content blitz over there, but it's good information.
Yeah, and it's worth it. It's positive.
Oh, it's my fun. That's my social outlet.
Yeah, it's positive. And
it's like
fun.
my Reddit. It's like a non-anonymous Reddit thread. That's how I feel about my Facebook.
I like it.
I start like good conversations, and then people just have threads on them. That's how I use Facebook.
And then people like me come in and throw little bombs into the chat.
I like it though. I like it, you know. And listen, there are interesting Reddit threads, possibly about some of the bros that we will discuss next time.
Yes. So 100%. I want to do that. Thank you so much for coming on. And I love the fact that I asked you to come on as my marketing mission and sales guru. And you're like, hey, buy Kirsten's stuff. I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
But they should. I mean, you can hire me if you want to, but like, I'm not a speaker coach. I'm going to be able to teach you how to sell from the stage, but that is an advanced skill. You need the foundational skill of being able to connect on stage. You need the foundational skill of what exactly constitutes a keynote speech. People like to jump to the money part. People like to hire me and go, oh, I want to start making money. Let me hire Nat Bullen. But there are foundational things you need to understand about the world and the business of speaking before you go trying to hire someone to help you convert a room of people into buyers. That is not where you start as a speaker. When I started speaking, it wasn't to convert people into high ticket offers. It was to get them to see the value in a budget and a credit card.
Yeah.
It was a shifting of beliefs. That's where you have to start.
All right. So now I'm thinking that there's a third time I want to bring you back, which is to talk about selling from the stage, because that is a very specific.
It's a very specific skill, and it's not the step one skill that people think it is. And people are like, I'm just going to have this retreat. I'm going to have this mastermind. I'm going to have this big in-person event, and I'm going to convert 18% of the people in the audience into this $12,000 thing. And they've seen their coach do it, so they think it's easy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what you don't know is that this person has been on 100 stages. Yep. This person has read 50 books on persuasion. This person has maximized their influence. This person chose the color of the room, the color of the curtains, the color of the agenda, the color of their suit, the color of their hair. to entice you to purchase. You don't know all the things that happen behind the scenes. So you think you're just going to get up there and say the right words? Honey, the sale for a live event happened on the registration page. That is when the sale starts happening. This event that I'm going to, that I told you about in November, trust me, this woman's been selling from day one. She's already priming us. I'm going to make you an offer on day 3 of this thing. Mm-hmm. So people think, oh, I'm just going to hire Natalie and like the money's going to rain out the sky. Not for a live event. It's not. No, you need a foundational skill of speaking plus an event consultant. Then you can start talking about how am I going to convert the people once they actually arrive. So yes, I would love to talk about speaking from the stage because I have strong opinions.
Yes. Well, that's so funny because you normally don't have strong opinions at all. You're just so shy.
I have strong opinions even for me on the speaking from the stage because I see it done wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I cringe at the money that gets lost because if you're selling a $15,000 thing, one mistake might have cost you 10x 15K or 5x 15K. And I think there's an unrealistic expectation that people think I am just going to become an expert speaker. I'm going to do 1 or 2 talks and suddenly I'm going to be in demand and people are going to pay me $15,000 plus travel fee plus a daily, honorarium. And
yeah,
I'm not saying no one is getting that. Most people are not getting $10,000.
But they've also done their reps.
They've done their reps, but they also are swimming in a different pond. A lot of people swim in broke ponds and then want to ask for a big check. If you're trying to position yourself as the keynote speaker of a free event for brand new mompreneurs, well, they haven't brought in any money because it was a free event. So how are they going to pay you $10,000 for the keynote? Like, I'm not saying they couldn't, but the likelihood is slim. So the people who are getting big bucks, they're also going to big organizations. They also have a big value proposition. They also have a long list of case studies and speaker reel and assets and et cetera. And I feel like, yes, next time we meet, we'll talk through like, what are the basic things that people need to have a shot in hell and making this work? And like, it's not always about the payment. I paid to get on stage recently. I made my money back by virtue of being able to sell from the stage and being able to grow my influence. I also got a 4K video of the talk, which in and of itself is valuable. Exactly. So I was able to get video of me in front of a crowd of 100 people. That alone was worth the trip. So I think sometimes people get fixated on, I'm not going to speak if I don't get paid, but you're already speaking for free. Every time you have a sales call, you're speaking for free. Every time you do a podcast, you're speaking for free. Every time you get your children to eat vegetables, you're speaking for free. You're already doing the sales activity. So why not leverage it? And I think people confuse leverage with payment. That's not the only way that you can leverage an asset like a speaker reel.
All right. And I'm going to put the pin in this. We will have you back. We will talk about multiple things. We will cause some problems because that's the most fun.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody, please throw into the various and assorted chats what you think, what your ideas are, what your favorite, what your favorite part of this was, because I have several favorites and they were all when Natalie was talking me up because I love that. So I'm going to talk to everybody later. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Again, Natalie Bullen, Unapologetic Wealth. Go check it out and join the community. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.